Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. Now we're joined by head cheerleading and dance coach Rebecca Kenny. Now, Becca, welcome to the show. And you sort of had an interesting story of how you got to UNCP, but for the viewers back home or the viewers watching at home that don't know you, sort of explain your story and your connection to UNCP.
Okay, I am from Lumberton, North Carolina, and my dad is Dan Kenny, which used to be the athletic director at UNC Pembroke, and before he was the athletic director, he was the men's basketball coach back in the 80s and 90s. So I have a very strong history with UNC Pembroke. I am also an alumni of UNC Pembroke. I received my bachelor's and master's degree from UNCP.
Now, just sort of, while working on your master's, you cheered for UNCP.
I did.
Sort of explain that transition from being a student athlete to now being a coach of the team that you cheered for.
It was definitely a big transition. I cheered my first year of graduate school, and then took my second year of graduate school off and did not cheer. So some of the girls that I cheered with and some of the guys that I cheered with were still on the team when I took over the team. So it made it challenging, being that I was friends with some of them, but you just have to make sure that you are in a administrative role, and you got to put the friendships behind you.
I can imagine that'd be difficult. Now, you're not only coach for just the cheerleaders and just the dance team, but for both of our spirit groups at UNCP. Is coaching the two teams, do you use a cohesive approach, or is it challenging to blend coaching techniques with both of them?
For when we are preparing for, basketball season or football season, I do try and use a cohesive approach to it, but cheerleading and dance, they're so different. So when you are actually talking about skills involved for each, they're different. Right. And so I have to have two separate practices, one for the dance team, one for the cheerleading squad. So it can be challenging sometimes.
Right. Now, for those that have attended a UNCP football game, your cheerleaders and your dance team are both in attendance, and they're extremely active on the sidelines. What does it take for you to prepare both of your teams for football season?
For football season, we try and do a couple practices over the summertime, and then once we start back school, we practice, and every single practice is geared towards preparing for football games. For the dance team, particularly, we try and get with the band because all of their sideline dances are done to music performed by the band. And for the most part, returners, it's fairly easy because we have the same sideline dances year to year. But for freshmen, we have to teach all the freshmen every single sideline dance. And for cheerleading, it's a little bit more difficult and time consuming because the cheerleaders have cheers and all of their stunts and pyramids and baskets and everything like that they need to learn in order to be able to perform for football. Okay.
Now, the squads also dance and cheer in nearly every home basketball game. How much difference is there between the two sports in cheering far away from the action of football games, whereas you're closer to the action of basketball?
For dance team, it's not really that much different. For cheerleading, we are governed by the ACA, which is the American Association for Cheerleading Coaches, and we are not allowed to do a lot of the things that we're allowed to do for football because we are right up on the action, and it's a totally different set of cheers. So it's more time consuming on the cheerleading end of my coaching.
Okay, well, we're going to take our next commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more to head cheerleading and dance coach Rebecca Kenny, so stay tuned.